All of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have died except for one, and he is trying to get his revenge. This is the Comicstorian channel where I take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is TMNT Last Ronin issue number 3. This takes place in a far-flung future where issue 1 showed us that there is one last turtle left trying to get revenge, and we discovered that it was Michelangelo. Last issue showed us what is supposedly the demise of Raphael, and today, well, we're going to see how this story continues. The gathering of the masters of the Foot Clan set together. They held up a scroll swearing Hiroto in as the head of the Foot Clan, taking over from his mother, who took over from his grandfather, the one known as Shredder. Do you swear fealty to the Foot Clan, to become the master that you were born to be? They question Hiroto, and he bows before them, swearing his loyalty to the clan and all of those who serve under his most trusted generals. He draws his sword. With great honor and humility, I rise, he says, standing tall. It has been 10 years since his father was taken by the Hamato clan and his mother slipped into a coma. General Oyama, I am prepared to issue my first order as your new liege. Send a formal invitation to parlay with the Hamato clan leadership, those here in Japan, and to Master Splinter in New York. He says, looking down at his sword. This war has gone on too long and it is time to talk of peace, he says, sheathing his weapon. Now Hiroto smiles as he looks down at his mother in her stasis pod, his scientists telling him that they are ready, and Hiroto steps forward. I want this broadcast to every part of the city, no exceptions, he commands, stepping into the hollow projector, and his image is broadcast throughout the city. Citizens look up at the larger-than-life image of their emperor. Denizens of New York, my people, my city. For nearly 2 decades, I have kept you safe, allowed you to prosper at will, my will. I alone decide your fate, so hear me now. Heed what I have to say. There is a monster within our midst. People look up at the image, shocked by the words, as Hiroto explains that this monster came to the city to assassinate him, to destroy everything that he has built. Any crime against me is punishable by death. Tonight, until further notice, the entire city will be under martial law, he proclaims, and security robots begin to flood the streets as Hiroto orders everyone to return to their homes. And know this, anyone foolish enough to harbor this fugitive will not suffer the same fate. No, yours will be far worse. He finishes, and the robots continue to push the people around, pulling them off the streets as they shoot tear gas and water jets. The rebels look on from an alleyway, knowing that they need to find Casey Jones. In their hidden base beneath the city, Mikey sits on his bed as the voices of his brothers fill his mind again. Gotta admit, Casey's pretty impressive. Book smart and street smart, Donnie points out, and Leo nods, but admits that she is crazy if she thinks that she can take out the new Shredder by herself. She's just a child, Mikey says, turning to his brothers, who he sees in the room with him, and they nod, pointing out that she is only 17 and already tangled with the Foot Clan. 16. Sound familiar? Mikey says, getting angry, and Donnie shakes his head, pointing out that they were trained their whole lives to fight the Foot, and Ralph chimes in that Casey is just a kid. And we were Splinter's kids, and Karai was Shredder's, and Hiroto hers. And here we are, back at square one, Mikey shouts. Someone comes into the room and Mikey grabs Asai, turning on her, but Casey doesn't flinch. Easy, whoa. I'm just wondering if there's some sort of ninja thing that I should know about talking to yourself in the dark, she says with a smile, and Mikey brushes off the moment, telling her that it takes more than being sneaky to be a ninja. But Casey merely tells Mikey that April is waiting for him in the lab, and Casey tells him that she's heading topside to check in with her crew. When Mikey points out that he doesn't think it's a good idea, she just smiles. Funny, but I wasn't asking for permission, she says as she turns to leave. As Mikey joins April in her lab, Mikey stops short as he recognizes the Fugitoid on her workbench. All that's left of him anyway, April points out as she crosses the room. Sorry, I was hoping to ease you back into everything, but things are about to get crazy around here, as she puts a hand on her friend's shoulder. I think it's time we get busy with all the catching up you keep talking about, April. Then, in the past, Fugitoid confirms that all of his systems check out and that Donnie is prepared to leave. He reminds the genius turtle that he'll have to charge the cloaking device on the aircraft when they're crossing the ocean, so that it'll be useful when they reach Japan. While Donnie runs over for one last-minute prep, Master Splinter stands with Leo and Mikey. Remember, Our strikers cannot appear to be in an aggressive stance, while we're also engaged in peace talks with the Foot Clan in Japan. Splinter tells him. Do you think it's legit? Hiroto's parlay? Leo asks. Master Splinter has grown old, and he sighs, telling his sons that he believes that young Hiroto tires of the blood that has been shed throughout the years. Maybe the time has come at last to close the book on this feud. And with a few parting words, Splinter and Donatello board their aircraft and they lift off to the parlay, cloaking as they leave the city in the safety of their hidden base. As Stockman watches the craft leave, he leans over the radio. Ready the strike team, he says with a smile, and the guards move along the perimeter, radioing in all their checks. Suddenly, 3 arrows slip through the night air, slamming into their chests. A foot moves silently through the shadows, taking the guards out. One is only wounded, though, and jumps up to sound the alarm. Idiots! Less than 30 seconds to compromise our entire mission! Stockman shouts as he throws his computer. General Lee, acquire the target and get the hell out of here! Inside the base, Leo leans over the command console, asking for a report from his soldier. The alarm came from the sewer entrance, sir. We've got foot soldiers coming at us from all angles, he warns. Leo quickly turns to his soldiers, ordering them to lock down all entrances and take defensive positions. Casey, what's your location? He asks in the radio, and Casey Jones radios in from the hangar where he and Mikey have grabbed April and Honeycutt. We're getting ready to head your way with the rest of the tech crew, he says, and they begin to run through the base with the walls and the ceiling beginning to explode as the Foot blasts their way inside. Leo, are we going underground? Casey asks over the radio. Negative. Sewer levels have been breached. Pull back to the main compound and get as many as possible to the safe rooms. Leo orders. So Casey confirms, promising to back them up when they're done. Suddenly, the ceiling above Leo shatters and foot soldiers begin to descend upon him. He pulls out his katanas, ready for the fight. Casey, about that backup? Hurry! He snarls as he leaps into battle. Slashing through them, he makes his way through the base, leaving behind the bloody bodies of foot ninjas as he goes. Another of the doors exploding inward, revealing the robotic foot ninjas as they charge forward. Back in the base, Mikey pushes Honeycutt and April towards the safe rooms. This is Stockman's doing! He's found a way to track me! Honeycutt wails, and Leo fights further down the stairs, joining up with Casey Jones. You two, up the stairs! No one passes! He orders to his soldiers, and Mikey and the others are about to get to the safe room when another wall explodes, throwing him to the ground. As Leo surveys the new ninjas, he can't believe it. What are those things? They can't be human, he whispers, and Casey nods as he lowers his mask. Let's find out! He growls, pulling out a bat and a hockey stick, leaping down onto the robots, but the hockey stick cracks over a ninja's head, useless. In the safe room, one of the robots reaches for Honeycutt, but Mikey is there smashing the robot's head off with his nunchuck. Suddenly, the robot explodes, throwing them all away. In the command center, Stockman stands in anger. Send in the Mausers! All of them! He shouts, and the command truck opens and discharges hundreds of the small robots, and they begin to flood into the base. In his fight, Casey struggles to his feet, reaching for his weapons bag. Hockey's not your game? Let's try cricket! He gasps, but the robot turns, punching him hard enough to send him across the room. Casey struggles to his feet, picking up a fallen sledgehammer. Just what the doctor ordered, he says with a smile. At the safe room door, Mikey continues to fight the robots, telling April to get Honeycutt to the safe room while he holds off the enemy. Casey swings his hammer, taking the head off another robot, and he turns as they all begin to close in on him. Walking a few feet, he joins Leo, who still holds his blades at the ready. All right, Leonidas, what's the plan? He asks, and the two of them look up, seeing the seething cloud of Mausers floating towards them. Huh? That's something you don't see every day, Leo whispers, and he gets on the radio, ordering Mikey to get everyone to safety and get word to Donnie and Master Splinter while he and Casey hold off the Foot. We'll follow behind as soon as we're done, Leo finishes as he looks at Casey. The swarm of robots continuing to draw closer as Mikey tries to argue. Do it, Mikey. We got this, Casey nods, saying over the radio. The two warriors leap into the fight, with Casey slamming his hammer into another robot as he reminds Leo that it's his turn to buy pizza after the fight. But Honeycutt isn't listening. He is struggling forward. I know it's me you've come for, Stockman. I'll self-destruct before I let you hurt my friends or imprison me again, he shouts, and in his command van, Stockman nods. Very well. If I can't have you, no one will, he says, and the Mausers all begin to open up, their eyes glowing red. The entire base explodes into a ball of fire, and as the smoke clears, Casey's mask dangles from the rubble, and Leo's sword lays nearby. Now in the present day, Casey Marie runs out of the sewers, shocked at the destruction and the carnage that she sees topside. Her team calls out to her and she comes running. Martial law, full crackdown, they tell her, and she nods, but tells them that they need to get word to the others, that she is working on something. Suddenly, a heavily armored troop carrier screeches to a stop nearby. "Everyone underground, now!" she shouts, but they're stomped by 2 other robo-ninjas. 2 of the gang move to fight the guards while the rest go over to a nearby fence. She tells her crew to split up, that they'll use the telecom lines to get the word out to the other resistance cells. "Meet up in the lair in 1 hour. Meanwhile, stay underground and watch your backs," she tries to tell her crew. But as Casey Marie moves through the sewers, she gets lost in the twists and the turns. Knowing that she might not be able to make it to the meeting in time, she has no choice but to head back to the street level. As she comes out of the manhole cover, she sees another of the robo-guards harassing a woman. "Stand up and be identified," the guard orders. "Foot bastard, identify this!" she shouts as she leaps into the air, kicking the guard in the face, stunning it long enough so that she can order the woman to run. The guard rushes her and Casey blocks its attacks. She flips over it, slamming her foot into the visored face, dropping it. She rounds another corner to see more guards attacking citizens, and after she shouts for them to run, she tries to lead the guards away. She stops long enough to look up at the street signs, sighing as she sees that she is at the corner of Bleecker and Sullivan. "Man, I really gotta get back to Mom," she tells herself. Meanwhile, over at the lab, Mikey squirms as April draws more blood to study the mutagen's effect on Mikey's body. "Just hurry. I hate needles," he tells her. He turns to the shell of Honeycutt, asking if their friend is even still there. And April nods, telling him that she thinks that he is. Reactivating him would be like blasting another "here we are" to our enemies, though. She explains to him as she is taking the vials of his blood. He looks back at his old friend, finally asking how she got away after the explosion. She explains that she woke up a week later in the hospital, missing an arm and a leg. "Oh yeah, in surprise, I was pregnant." After she went through physical and mental therapy, she watched as Hiroto and the Foot Clan began to take over New York. After she got out of the hospital, she took Casey, and she went to hide in the lair. "How'd you get the Fugitoid's head?" Mikey asks, as April puts a band-aid on his arm. "Some of Leo and Casey's strike team weren't killed in the battle, and they recovered it. You know, Casey Marie told me about the training that you did in Asia and Europe, but she didn't tell me how the hell you got all the way over here." April asks as she puts Mikey's blood in the machine. Mikey nods, explaining what happened next was kind of a fog. Believing that no one could have survived the explosion, he wandered down to the lair, hoping to get a hold of Donnie and Splinter. He was desperate to try and save them, so he stocked up on weapons and supplies and stowed away in a plane to go to Japan. If they were on their way to a peace treaty, they had to be there. "I was hoping that I could catch them in time. I just didn't know what else to do." April nods, hugging her friend, telling him that none of this is his fault, but finally, she puts her hand on the Fugitoid. "I think I know how to beat Hiroto," she tells him. Suddenly, Casey speaks from the door of the lab. "Then you need to tell us right now, Mom, because all hell is breaking loose up there." After April explains, Mikey leans against the wall. "I get the concept, April, but it's 1,000,000,001 shot." He looks at her, explaining that there are too many variables as he repeats the idea that they need to take out Stockman in his fortress before they can take out Hiroto. And our only chance is to try and activate Honeycutt during the attack, and if he wakes up, maybe he'll help us knock out Baxter's tech. "I'm sorry, but I can't buy into this," he says with a shake of his head. "At least this is a better plan than the 100-year-old turtle trying to attack Hiroto directly," Casey shouts in anger. The two begin to argue, but April yells for them to stop, grabbing Mikey's arm, leading him out of the room. She leads him to the hangar, explaining that she has been studying Honeycutt for years and knows that he is in stasis. She believes that they know that Stockman is always looking for his signal. She punches the code into the keypad, leading Mikey inside, and he's shocked at the hardware that the Resistance has on hand. "I've been prepping for a long time, getting ready for one last fight for our freedom that I knew was coming. I've been planning and I've been building. I think Donnie would approve, don't you?" She asks as she leads him to a massive armored vehicle. "Yeah, what is it?" he asks, stunned. "Just something to even our odds," April says. And there you have it, issue 3 of The Last Ronin. Now, I'm sorry that these take so long to come out. There seems to be a 2-month delay between each issue. I do know that I mispronounced Karai last time. I do know how to pronounce it, but for some reason, every time I see it spelled out, I always want to say Kairi. I don't know why, it's just what I always do. So when we get to the full story of this Last Ronin storyline, I'll probably redo some of those lines just to make it all work out much better. Anyway, guys, we've lost Casey, we've lost Leo, and we've lost Wrath. Now we just need to know what happened to Donnie and Splinter and the whole team, and we'll come to the inevitable conclusion of this storyline. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button so you know when the next episode comes out. We'll cover it pretty close to the release of the comic. And thank you guys so much for watching this video to the ending. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian.